Hello, and welcome back to the 1955 Buick POS special build, because it's a POS. And now that the brakes are done, it's time to get on to some other issues. Okay, so I would like to put a gas tank in this car. Can't do that yet because there is some work to do back here. So, first thing will be spare tire well, which is no longer a spare tire well, as you can see. That's a better view of it. That's going away. The gas tank I'm going to use is going to be too big to just fit in the original spot. It's going to be wider. So the gas tank spare well, gas tank, that makes sense. The spare tire well is going away, and we'll put flat steel there and make the trunk floor bigger. The other issue is this rear cross member. This is a common spot for this vintage or say generation Buicks to rot. This rear square cross member in the back where the rear body mounts used to be and are not there anymore is commonly rotted out. It's a curved U-channel piece that's welded up into the bottom of the trunk floor, which is also missing in the corners. So I'm going to replace, or rather rebuild all of this, fix the trunk floor, make a new square channel piece to go in there the easy way, because I don't have tools to do things the hard way. And, well, maybe I should rephrase that. I'm going to do it what's easier for me. Maybe it's easier if you have the right tools, which I don't have. So that's what the underside of this area is looking like. Let's pop the trunk and look inside and see what that looks like. Okay, looking at the trunk floor of the car, it's really not so bad. The trunks, the spots that are rotted out are common. I mean, the spare tire well, they're always rotted out. It's going away, I don't care. The back here is where we have issues. We have big holes there, and this section here is pretty much gone in the back. So this is where main repair work has to be done, where the body mounts are, back of the trunk floor. Get it fixed. And remember, this is not a concours restoration here. I'm just trying to make a decent, solid, fun piece of garbage driver to have a good time with. That's it. Still has some of the original cardboard trunk liners. That's going to go away. And then they had this material that they would glue over the wheel wells. That's going away. So it's already tore it out of this side. So it's just going to look like that. And then maybe we'll put bed liner over it or something when it's all done. All right, so first thing I gotta do is clean out some of this junk, get the wiring out of here, and get started. All right, so time to start on this thing. Get rid of this, because it's junk. I could use it as a pattern, not gonna bother. It's in the garbage. Screw there, we'll get out. All right, this can go. That's garbage. Now, you can actually see what I'm working with here. Wiring can go. None of this wiring is staying. It's all original and it's all junk. Cut it out of my way. There. We'll be rewiring this car completely. So, let's just get this. Now, let's see what we got over here. See what's left. Gonna need, this is all seam sealer. all this is here in the corner seam sealer. Tons of it. Tons of it. And I got to get back to decent metal here. So I have something to weld to. So I get my scraper. That stuff's got to go. Let's see. It's actually here. How much is trunk and how much is seam sealer? I don't know. Obviously this area here is a little weak. My light go flying. This stuff's just tar paper that was put there from the factory. All that stuff's going away. This whole back area here is going to get cut out. So we got to repair this section. Alright, I got to get the, this is obviously going to be shop vac work. Let me get the shop vac. Good enough to start with. Alright, after doing the quick shop vac, I'm going to end up taking some more of this tar out of here, which doesn't want to move, so I'm going to heat it with the torch and get back even further on the metal. Should be good enough. All right, so the trunk here was made out of separate sections. This is the seam coming down here. This used to be the trunk pan, and this was just a dog leg trunk drop-off piece over here on the side, and they had a seam right here that all rotted out. So it was made out of more than one piece. So what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is make or repair this dog leg here. I'm not going to cut the whole thing out, but I'll cut it up high to the point where I got solid metal that I can weld to, cut down the seam, make that piece first, then make the trunk pan piece to made up to it, and to finish off it similar to factory, but certainly not as nice. Who knows? Maybe it will be as nice. Just pack it full of mud like they did, and it'll look just like factory, but who cares? It just has to be solid so you throw junk in the trunk and it doesn't land on the road. All right, so let's get going. First, just make a rough cut. Okay, so first rough cut is made. Cut out a section of the trunk drop-off that was rotted out and a little section of the trunk. All that's left is this little edge here. The dog leg, the trunk drop-off, actually had a little lip bent down that's welded to the outer shell or piece there. See it under there. So I'm just going to break this off break those. It's probably spot welded. Should be able to just work it with a vice grip and not have to get too crazy with it. Maybe a little bit of grind work and remove that section. Almost there. There you go, and there's the lip out of there. Do a quick little hammer dolly on that and straighten that out. Alright, it's got to clean those edges up a little bit. Now, ready to make the first piece. Alright, so once again, I'm working with two pieces here. The trunk pan and the trunk drop-off. I'm going to make this trunk drop-off piece first and go from there. Okay, I've made the first piece out of some cardboard. I assume you can use a tape measure. Just took a rough measurement. You can see how this is going to fold under like that, so that when I put this in, it'll have a drop off around the perimeter there that I can weld to the bottom of the car, and then I'll trim and weld it to the existing trunk drop off there. And I ran further underneath where the trunk pan's going to go, because the trunk pan's going to go over top of this and actually plug weld to that there. And I can bend that down like that, like factory, so that the goes straight down to the back, and that will take care of that section. So now all I got to do is unfold this and transfer it to metal, and we'll have our patch. Alright, ready to cut my first patch out of my fresh, brand new purchased steel. Right? No. This is a Jaguar door panel, door skin. I don't buy new metal unless I really have to. I don't buy metal. This stuff's plenty beefy. Just no need. Right, so the piece is cut out, making the bends. I have this neat pair of Eastwood pliers that make flanges, and they also work pretty good for making bends and stuff where you can't do two bends the same way in a bender because you just can't physically get it in there. But if you take this guy, put it on your line, you can start getting a bend in it. We do a little hammer work on it to make it perfect. But to make it decent. So I'm going to trim this section back there a little bit. Get that out of the way. Get the bend. Cut that back just a bit. Give me some room there. As you have figured out by now, I'm not a body man. But I can wing it. This needs a corner put in it. So I'm going to fold this in. Alright, let me beat on that a little bit. Alright, after some beating and banging, we have the first piece made and set into place. Now we'll just burn it in. All right, first patch is burned in. Is it beautiful? No. Is it strong? Oh, hell yeah. It's burned in there. It's not moving. And once seam sealer's on it, it'll look just perfect. All right, so now the next section I got to do. I got to make a piece to fill some of this. I think I'll tear some of this out so I can see what I'm looking at, because this is all gone. So this will probably be done in sections as well. It's easier to try to replace this stuff in pieces and get some strength in it and weld to it. But the tough part is getting back to clean metal that's strong enough and thick enough to weld to. This is all good. This can get cut and trimmed. And as long as it will hold stuff, it'll work. All right, let's keep going. Okay, next sections you can see that I'm dealing with here. The whole back area back here is gone. So we got to rebuild that. And I'm going to try to leave like a ledge to weld to there. Even if I got to lap weld it, so be it. Just so I have something that I can weld to, and then I can pack it up with seam sealer, and it'll outlast me. Not worried about that. This car is going to be better than it was, that's for sure. So you can see my cut lines. I'm going to cut out all this mess here. This way and go down just to cut this section out, and then I'll cut a straight line back here and cut this mess out of here just to get an area that's easier to work with and not all jaggedy, and get rid of the thin metal. Cut back to good solid stuff there. All right, on that I'm going to cut with the cutoff wheel so I can get straighter lines. I can cut straight with the plasma, but not as straight as the cutoff wheel. All right, let's get that cut out. All right, here we are, cut out. So this all has to be replaced. Back here, the back, I cut back to a ledge of solid metal. although there's a hole right there. But other than that, it's very solid, and I can weld right to that, no problem. So I think the next thing, I'll make a patch for this section here that'll run back, and then I'll make another piece to do this area here and fill that in. So it'll be a couple pieces to still make. This is what's left of the square brace, or C-channel brace that's under the car that mounts to the frame where the body mount should be bolted to it. That'll be made after the trunk floor is done. We'll do that from underneath. The good thing is the car is, the body is solidly mounted to the frame, so nothing's sagging. Everything's good and solid, so I can work with it as it is and just reconstruct it without having to worry about anything moving around. So the next patch is going to be for this area here. And I jumped ahead a bit because everybody knows how to trace cardboard. But here I made a pattern that will fit in here, something like that, and fill the hole. And here I transferred it to pristine Jaguar steel, and we have holes to plug weld it to the piece underneath, to the drop off, and then we'll weld the perimeter, weld it in the back, shape it as we go to fit. So basically going to just tack weld it in some places and then bring the trunk in this panel together with some heating and beating and make it fit. And that'll be that piece. And then we got to make a piece for in here. This is definitely the worst side of the car. The other side has some holes, but not as bad as this side. But it's no big deal. Some scrap metal, and it'll be fixed. The second patch is now in. So that was probably the biggest hole or whatever. This piece here is just going to be a big rectangle, bent down to meet the back, and fill this monster hole here. That'll be one piece. So same deal, cardboard template, trace it onto steel, cut it out, weld it in. That's it. Okay, last piece going in for the back of the trunk. I just threw a couple tack welds on it just to fit it. And of course it moved on me and opened up this section over here. That gap's wider than I wanted. I had it really nice and it moved when I was tacking it on the other side, but that kind of stuff happens, no big deal. We can weld it. So that's it. I'm going to weld this in. I should be able to get some video of it, but when I start grinding, I'll probably have to turn it off. Alrighty then. And when you're welding thin metal like this, sheet metal, you want to jump around with a bunch of tack welds. You don't want to burn for a whole long time and just melt the metal. Nothing left to it after that. About an hour's worth of work, maybe it was a half hour, I don't know. Last piece is tack welded, is fully welded in, and that's it for the driver's side of the trunk. So finished. Is it perfect? Maybe not. Is it going to work? Absolutely. Is it strong? Oh yeah. There ain't no issues. And it passes the light test, which is where I turn all the lights out and put a drop light underneath the trunk. Look for pinholes or any holes to weld up or seal up, and it's all good. So that's it. So that side's done. Now we'll move over to this side and also to fill in the spare tire well.